It appears that XRP has finally awakened and is getting ready to make a significant move to the upside. In this video, I want to discuss that as well as how all the people who have previously been so negative of XRP are now outspokenly supporting them in their fight against the SEC. In this video, we'll discuss that as well as why XRP is exploding right now. I want to discuss whether or not I believe that's the reason, since the Ripple SEC case is about to come to a close. March has been our target date for the end of the Ripple SEC lawsuit. I want to discuss whether or not March is still a realistic month for this case to conclude in this video. We actually learned something today that could cast doubt on the James K. filing's theory that Judge Torres will issue a ruling this month, so be sure to watch all the way to the end because you won't want to miss it. I want to start off this video by talking about something extremely intriguing because it seems like everyone who has been skeptical of Ripple and XRP is now speaking up as it becomes more and more clear that Ripple will win its legal battle against the SEC. In the past, many have come out of the woodwork and declared that XRP has enormous utility, and that it appears like Ripple's will defeat the SEC. I was really on Twitter listening to Cathie of ARK when she was the first highly famous person I saw emerge today. She also made it clear on that Twitter platform that she believed Ripple would prevail in court against the SEC. Well, I've never before heard Cathie mention Ripple in conversation. But I've spoken to several ARK analysts, including the team leader for their Bitcoin division. And they all basically informed me that XRP has no utility and won't be particularly helpful to Ripple products in the future. Since I've always admired ARK Invest and Cathie Woods and believed they had a cutting-edge perspective on the markets, it goes without saying that this has always struck me as being rather shocking. And I've never been able to comprehend how these folks could not comprehend Ripple and XRP. They were mentioning Solana and Ethereum as potentially transformative financial technologies, after all. And it simply seems so clear to me that XRP held a lot more potential than it did. The thing that interests me the most, however, is not that these ARK experts had previously expressed skepticism of Ripple and XRP, but rather the fact that, seemingly out of nowhere, they now appear to be retracting their earlier claims. In the end, this is a really encouraging indicator because it demonstrates that many of these extreme skeptics, or those who believed Ripple could never defeat the SEC, are now seeing Ripple winning by a wide margin. Now, this is excellent news because, in my opinion, it demonstrates the SEC case's several flaws. Since even they don't believe it's possible, many of these folks would undoubtedly love for Ripple to lose this case to the SEC. The other very bullish point I want to make is that ARK, who obviously has a lot of money, will continue to invest heavily in these cryptocurrencies. What we might witness is a scenario where institutional investors like ARK Invest are forced to put a significant portion of their cryptocurrency portfolio into a coin like XRP since it is one of the few cryptocurrencies that receives market certainty. In the end, XRP is a blue-chip cryptocurrency, and many of these cryptocurrency funds will only want to invest in the blue-chip cryptocurrencies they perceive as having the least amount of risk, especially if XRP is the only cryptocurrency available on the US market that is fully compliant with SEC regulations. It will be simple for institutions like ARK to decide to invest in XRP since it will have the least amount of risk out of any other blue-chip cryptocurrency available because Ripple smoked them in court. In the end, it's just another instance of how US retail investors were able to outperform institutions when the case against Ripple was initially dropped. Institutional investors are compelled to sell out of their XRP because they must ultimately adhere to much stricter compliance standards than individuals. As a result, individuals like you and I were allowed to continue acquiring XRP and hold on to the XRP we already owned, while institutions were compelled to sell their holdings. This is creating the ideal situation for individuals like you and me, who are constantly certain that Ripple will be on the right side of the law to be successful. We can effectively outperform every institution in the market. In the end, I believe this will produce a really intriguing dynamic in which the institutions will essentially be pumping our bags. One of the only times this could ever occur is now. Because in traditional markets, all the institutions often participate in VC rounds of investment before counting on the general public to swell their coffers. This is only one of the things that makes XRP such a special investment. We also know that institutions are investing in XRP since custodians have stated in multiple interviews that institutional demand for XRP significantly outweighs that of any other cryptocurrency. In the end, I genuinely believe that this is producing a very bullish dynamic. And I believe that institutions will soon start investing again in XRP. Also, I want to highlight another significant stakeholder who is vacillating on XRP. The CoinDesk is there. Given that this is the very definition of a Bitcoin maxis, I never expected this person to switch to XRP. And from the beginning, they have denigrated XRP and avoided discussing this case. He provides the bullish argument for XRP right here, and I think you guys are going to appreciate it a lot. But listen to this interview with this man a little because what he did right here absolutely floored me. I never imagined they would allow somebody to talk like this at the CoinDesk. So pay attention to this. Moreover, you may have seen a spike in XRP. Exactly, which is another fascinating piece of this entire discussion because, when you consider how well our banking system moves capital around the world, that is a crucial element of the settlement side of things. And what's happening there is that there are a lot of insightful contract partnerships that have already established the foundation and are getting along well with regulators. And in my opinion, that is the unspoken aspect of this dialogue. Indeed, I was going to ask you about XRP, which has recently risen to a 5-month high despite all of this commotion. Could it be that the SEC XRP case, which has been developing for some time, may soon come to an end? And that's how I interpret that surge, really. Yes, you know, I believe that is part of it. Yet, for whatever reason, I want to explore the conversation a little more. To be honest with you, whether they win or lose, it makes no difference because they still have those long-term institutional connections through which they will continue to be able to transfer value via the internet. And to my opinion regarding this, and the way I see it, even if they are used as an example, that's still not necessarily a terrible thing. Let's use Shakespearean language and say that the world is a stage. It's okay. Whether they succeed or fail, they will still be able to represent Bank of America and numerous other major banks, move money around the globe, and provide liquidity to both small and large financial institutions. That, in my opinion, is what the back end is showing us. Naturally, the initial shock that the CoinDesk even allowed this man to speak about XRP is there. Yet, I think he also makes a valid point about how many people are behaving as though this case is already over if the verbal loses. They're going out of business, XRP is going to zero, and Ripple can still exist. He also makes a very good point, which is that people often lose cases with the SEC even though their businesses are doing well. I think this person makes a really fair point when he says that we may see Ripple actually lose this case, and it could have absolutely no effect on XRP. Consider how frequently large banks, like JP Morgan, have been sued by the SEC. It's occurred time and time again. Now, I'm convinced that we will prevail in this case. Yet Ashley Prosper makes a strong case for this. The CFTC declares Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Litecoin to be commodities, while the SEC refuses to declare Ethereum to be a security. Ethereum is a security, according to the New York Attorney General. XRP is a currency, according to FinCEN. This is fair notice for Ripple, and frankly, Prosper is making a solid point here. The SEC claims that XRP is a security, while the DOJ claims that XRP is a currency. As they were never given fair warning, Ripple won't suffer too much damage even if they lose this case. Even if you're certain that at some point in their history, Ripple sold securities. So, nobody ever informed them. That's what happened. And practically every regulator out there was expressing a different opinion. There is, in my opinion, little likelihood that the secondary market for XRP will be designated as a security at this point in the proceedings. Furthermore, I don't believe there is any likelihood, even if Ripple was once informed that they were offering unlawful securities. It might only be a light smack on the wrist, in my opinion. Since it has come to our attention that the SEC did nothing to truly alert Ripple to their legal violations, and that's providing fair warning so that they may leave this litigation with nothing more than a light scolding. In order to wrap up this video, I'd like to briefly discuss James K. Fireland's forecast that this issue will be resolved in March. His reasoning was based on the idea that Judge Torres would basically be placed on a waitlist if she did not render a ruling by the end of March. Well, John D stated he was actually looking into that and didn't think that was necessarily true when he joined me on a live stream earlier today. Furthermore, it wasn't really clear when the 6 months were supposed to begin. It may throw off James K. Fireland's prediction that this case will conclude in March, so I just wanted to make that clear. Having said that, the price chart for XRP indicates that a resolution is probably just around the corner. Even John D., who did not base his prediction on Judge Torres having to make a decision by the end of March, believes that the judge's decision is still at least a month away. With that said, Jeremy Hogan predicted that this case would have been resolved 2 weeks ago, even though he wasn't basing his prognosis on the possible late filing that Judge Torres may have received. Thus, I still believe that the case will be resolved soon. I believe it might occur at any moment. I simply want to make it clear that the reasoning behind James K.'s filing's assertion that this case will likely conclude in March may have been a little faulty. And in early April, we might learn the outcome of this lawsuit. Many of the observations made by these attorneys are complex, and each district has its own set of laws. In either case, I believe we are extremely close. Because of certain information I heard earlier today, I just wanted to make sure that was understood. Nevertheless, I really appreciate your being here. I hope this update was enjoyable. If you did, please make sure to like and subscribe. They mean a lot right now.